We're good.
All right, cool. Good morning, guys. This is Top Tier Talk, our team meeting for July 27th. So this is wow. This is the last meeting in July. We'll be meeting in August next week, I assume. So I hope you guys had a good weekend and have a big week planned and are staying safe and all that good stuff. We have a cool training this morning. We're going to talk to Peter Vlahos, one of our top earners here, who is going to talk about postcard marketing. I don't think there's a lot of people on the team that, well, it's safe to say that not many people on the team do postcards. I've done postcards in the past, but I haven't done them recently, so I'm very interested to hear from Peter as well. But he's been doing it for a long time, and he's really consistent with his sales, so it must be working. So it's something to certainly pay attention to, your budget permitting. So I guess we'll just kind of get right into it. Well, I guess, Peter, first, why don't we get a little bit of a backstory from you? You've been, you sent me a few slides here. You've been doing postcards since 2010?
Yep, 10 years. 10 years, have not missed a week.
Haven't missed a week?
Haven't missed a week, not even during holidays or July when people say you shouldn't be marketing in July. Every single week I send out postcards.
How many do you send out the same amount every time, or?
Yeah, well, in the beginning I was testing out with 500 a week for the first few months, and then I went to 1,000, and I've been sending 1,000 a week every single week since 2010.
Wow.
First 3 years, I was doing them manually, which is crazy, right? I had my kids doing them. I had my wife doing them. We would mail them certain days of the week, which I will get into as well. But it was tough, but it was worth doing it manually. Yeah. And I found out, hey, you could use a mailing house, and it doesn't affect the response rate. There is something to the response rate when you do them manually,
right?
But we found a way that still keeps the response rate at a right level when you use a mailing house. So when I train people to do postcards, I tell them to do it manually. And at first they're like, well, I don't want to do this, lick stamps and, well, you don't have to lick anymore, but, put stamps on and labels on for 1,000 postcards a week. But, I tell them start that way in the beginning, and then eventually you could use a mailing house because it'll benefit your response rate when you do them manually.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, looking at your postcard, I think you might have learned from the same guy I did, Rod Stinson.
Yep.
I think we were in different programs of his, but he did the same postcard training.
Yep.
And I do remember that the response rates with his stupid simple postcard or whatever were really good.
Yellow postcards is what he called them. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we can, we preach consistency in marketing all the time. So obviously you saying that you mail out postcards every single week for the last 10 years, that's consistency.
Yep.
So,
in reality, all it takes is one sale to break even, 2 sales, you're in profit mode. So one of the things that my mentor at the time, Rod, had said that he knew a guy that was spending 10 grand in marketing, but he was making 13,000 in sales from that specific marketing. And he says most people thought that was a failure, but in reality, he was profiting 3,000 a month. So he kept on doing, and it wasn't postcards, by the way, but it was some other technique. I think it was pay-per-click at the time. So you got to continuously spend that if you're profiting from it. So it makes total sense. But most people look at it and say, "Oh, I'm spending 10 grand and only making 3." Well, it's 3 grand profit still that you got to do. So as long as it's a profitable technique, you should definitely always do marketing with that specific strategy. Don't ever quit it just because you're not profiting as much as another technique.
Right. Yeah, that's good advice. So we'll go through your slide here that and you just tell me how fast you want to go through it here. But
so first I want to start off by saying what most people do with postcards. So we've all gotten postcards and we still get them in the mail from other marketers and other systems out there. And the first thing that I look at is it's congested, a lot of traffic going on it. There's a long web address usually that's on there. It's a replicated site with a backslash and a first initial last name type thing. Mm-hmm. And whenever I see that, it's not a marketer that's going to be marketing for a long time. Those things, number one, you can never track and see your response rate from it. People say, yeah, I get a 1% response rate. They really don't know what their response rate is. Yeah, they may have an ad tracker on their website, but that really doesn't personalize it. And typically those campaigns will never get a consistent response rate or a good conversion number. So first thing you want to do is never, ever put a web address on a postcard, even though you may see some things of Rod's that have an example with a web address on there, but he never did it. He never taught us to do it. He always, if you really listen to him, he always said, always put an 800 number on there. And the reason for that is, number one, you could track it. You could see how many people actually called your 800 number with 800 link. You have a back office, you have a caller ID, you have their phone number, and then you could pick up the phone and call them and have a conversation with them. So right there is personalization. You would differentiate yourself with everybody else in the arena because now they have a phone call. They have a human being that they could speak with right away. And you should always have that opportunity to contact somebody. It's impressive for the recipient, and it's impressive that they see that you took the time to pick up the phone and call them. So always put an 800 number on there. That 800 number is never going to get routed to your cell phone or anything like that. It's just going to be a 2-minute greeting message with your voice on there or the person's voice that sent out the postcard, introducing yourself. You could leave your web address on there if you want. At least they heard the person that's sending them the postcard and their voice. But you definitely want to schedule yourself to call that person. Also, the messaging on the postcard, it's got to be simple. You cannot, as you saw, and you'll see in the example here that you're going to be pulling up here shortly, it's got to be simple. You cannot put 1,000 different things on a postcard. It's just going to confuse people and they're going to toss it. You want to be able to make them stick on the postcard for an extra 4 to 8 seconds. That will get them to pick up the phone and dial that 800 number. Certain days of the week that we mail out postcards, most people don't even get that detail. So the way I train it is, if you're doing it manually, you mail out, your first month, you only want to mail out 500 a week. That's how I start off my people with postcards. So 200 on Friday, 200 Saturday, 100 on Mondays. The reason for that is you want the postcards to land in people's homes Mondays through Thursdays. That's when they'll pay most attention during regular times. Now, during COVID times, everyone's home all the time, right? But, during regular times, they're coming home from work, they're looking at their mail, they're sifting through their mail, they're going to either toss it in the trash, or they're going to toss it to the side and call that 800 number. You never want to have them land on Fridays, Saturdays, or Sundays. People are in weekend mode. Your response rate is going to go down to half. And the typical response rate that I guarantee my clients is a 4% or higher response rate. And anybody that knows direct mail marketing, most people only get a 0.5 to 1% response rate. So when you do a bunch of things in combination, you will get a 4% or higher response rate. In many cases, you'll get 10% or even higher, double digits. But I guarantee 4% or higher.
So when you say 4%, are you referring to people who leave a message or just people who call?
People who call. Most people are not going to leave messages, but we have their information.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So most people are not going to leave messages. They hear what you have them say or what you say to them, but they will not leave a message, and we know that, and that's fine. So it's a 4% response rate.
Gotcha.
So going from 4% response rate, let's say you get 20 people that call your 800 number. And then if you call everybody back, you should have about 30 to 50% opt-in rate after you have that conversation, or even if you just leave a message for them. More people will opt into your website. So then you could track and see, how's my campaign going? How's my messaging going? Am I contacting them soon enough? So you should see about 30 to 50% of those people that call your 800 number, when you contact them back, logging onto your website. And that's the whole thing here, right? We want to lead them to your presentation, have them review the info. And now out of those, typically what I like to see, and everybody's conversion numbers are different because everybody is different and everybody appeals to a certain person in a certain way. But typically I like to see, if you get about 20 opt-ins, you have maybe 1, 2, or 3 people that are really good prospects that may be moving forward. So that's the whole idea here, is to get opt-ins, right? Build that
Yep.
relationship, get opt-ins, and then let the autoresponder and let the people make their decision. But then you'll have about 1, 2, or 3 people that are typically looking to move forward.
So you're calling them, you're having a brief conversation, kind of like how we train on Craigslist, and then you're sending them to your website. Is that
Correct?
Yeah.
You're not doing a presentation over the phone. That's a big mistake a lot of people try to do. They try to explain the system over the phone. The call's about them, for them, and then leading them to your website. You're not you're not trying to do a presentation.
Okay. And then do you schedule a follow-up right on that first call?
Correct. Yeah, just like you train it on Craigslist, same thing.
Okay.
Yeah, schedule that follow-up, and then you know, I tell my people do a 3-way. You know, people like us, you know, we don't need to do the 3-way, but if they want to do a 3-way, we could contact each other and just get that third-party verification.
Yep. Okay, cool.
So the slides that you have up here is for the path of the postcard, little thing that I created basically. So the first one is you mail out the postcard, you put your first 200 in on a Friday, Saturday, and the next 200 on Saturday, 100 on Monday, if you're doing it manually. So people look at the mail, they sift through it, and the next slide is it either goes into the trash or they pick up the phone and call your 800 number. From there, you have a conversation with them, or they could go directly to your website. However, the path happens there, meaning you could call them if you get their voicemail, you leave your web address on there. But when they call your 800 number, in most cases, they'll have your web address because you did say it in that 2-minute greeting message. Okay. And then from there, they watch the presentation, you do that follow-up call, or they become your client. Again, 1 or 2 or 3 out of the 20 opt-ins is ideal. Some people, it takes 70 opt-ins to get a sale, but eventually, do the numbers, sending out 500 postcards a week, 4% response rate, 30 to 50% opting in. The numbers at the end of the day, you're going to run into some sales somewhere. So out of if you're sending out 1,000 postcards a week, that's 4,000 a month. The cost of your stamp, your postcard, and your lead that you put on there should be right around 51 cents to 54 cents a postcard. So just to round numbers, let's say 50 cents, you know, of course, it's gonna be a little bit more. 4,000 postcards, that campaign cost me $2,000 a month. One $2,000 sale breaks even. You know, looking for three to 5 or 6 sales a month with postcards, and they come in at higher levels. I mean, you know, just one $3,500 sale, you're at
you're in profit.
Yeah. So it's worth, the risk is worth the reward at the end of the day. And this is something simple that you could do on your postcard. Again, you don't want to do put too much information on there. This left picture has the room for the label and the stamp. Another thing I like to do, if you're doing it manually, on the top left-hand corner of the postcard on the left picture there, I like to use a black Sharpie marker and put hi in the person's first name. That'll grab their attention. That'll increase your response rate by having somebody call it by double typically. So if you're normally getting about 6% response rate, if you put hi in a person's first name with the black Sharpie marker, that's why it's worth doing it manually in the beginning, especially. You will get a double-digit response rate. In a lot of cases, we're seeing 12 to 20%. Another thing is the lead. You do not want to buy leads that are old, meaning those leads that people sell. I'll sell you 1 million leads. Well, those leads have been on that list for years. You want to find a lead vendor that has data cards. Number one, the data cards have a description on it. You want to read the description and see what kind of person got on this list. If you could resonate with that person, then you want to be talking to them as well. So you want to buy that list, right? At the end of the day, you want to get leads that are 30, 60, or 90 days old. Typically, the previous quarter is how they sell them, by quarters. And those are going to be the leads that give you the best responses. The reason for that is these people have, the reason why they got on these leads, they're business opportunity buyer leads. The reason why they got on this list is because they just recently purchased something. it usually takes them about 30, 60, or 90 days to figure out that the person that they joined or the system that they joined is not generating any results for them. So now they're scratching their head saying, did I do the right thing? I'm not going to do this anymore, but they're entrepreneurs and they're still looking for something else. An entrepreneur never quits. So this is going to appeal to them. They see the simplicity of it. They jump on your website. They had a person that they could speak with. That's another benefit, because the previous system that they were in, once they took their money, they were nowhere to be found. They don't have weekly training calls like you guys do. So there's no other systems out there as beneficial to them as our system, because of the support that you guys and each individual provides their clients.
Right.
So there's a big differentiator here. When they join our system, they have that support, and anybody that's running their own business should be supporting their own individual clients as well, of course.
Yes. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, cool. Yeah, these are similar messages to what I used in the past. Now, do you recommend an 800 number as opposed to a local number from 800 Link?
Absolutely. 800 number for sure. There's 3 different plans that they got. There's a $9.95 plan, $19.95, and the $39.95 plan. The higher up you go, you get more 800 numbers. I just tell everybody, start with a $9.95 plan.
Yep.
And then they have a selection on the right side where you could select an 800 number. Usually they have 2 or 3 800 numbers. Then after that, they'll have 888s, 877s, 844s. There's a lot of 844 numbers now. Most people don't recognize 844s as a toll-free number, but there's no difference in cost. So select the 800 number is what I tell people.
Okay.
They just don't make that many available at one time. Sometimes they're all taken, and then the next day they'll have an 800 number. So yes, 800 number for sure.
Okay. Okay. Good information.
More people are going to call that 800 number as opposed to a direct line.
How about as far as you talked about the leads? And I'm not asking you to give away secrets or anything, but there's a lot of pretty bad lead vendors out there.
There are. So that's why I was talking about data cards. Find out when these people got on the list. If they don't have a data card, if they don't tell you when this lead or this list became available, then you don't want to use them. Also, if you're going to be doing this, you want to have the flexibility, like I do with my lead vendor, is that they will not sell the same list name to anybody in your group. This way we're not competing against each other. This is how I could guarantee the 4% or higher response rate. My lead vendor that I share with my clients, they do not sell, they keep track of who buys it, the list name, and then they know that I always tell them, mention that you're part of my group. Otherwise it doesn't benefit them to buy it, because they're going to be buying the same list as me or anybody else in our system.
Right.
So they will not sell the same list name to somebody in my group.
Gotcha. Now, I imagine over the years you've used different lead vendors, and then you found one that you like now.
Correct, and and you sort of got to do that, right?
Yep.
Again, at the end of the day, you're going to run into bad lead vendors. You're going to test the market. If you're not getting a 4% or higher response rate, don't use that lead vendor again. It's just not going to be better the second time around. You should at least get a 4% or higher response rate at minimum. But if it's a good lead vendor, you're going to see closer to 8, 9, 10%.
Okay. Good to know. What do we got here? We're going to ask people to do some math?
Yeah, basically, let's see. So what was I thinking here? I know when I did this down, I had an idea. So write down your short-term monthly income goal, basically. So if your income goal is $10,000 a month, divide that number by 2,500, because that's an average sale that you could possibly get. So you're looking to get 4 sales a month if you want to hit your income goal at an average of $2,500 sales. So typically people, when they first start out, they're selling more $2,000 level sales, because they're and maybe a couple $3,500 sales. So your sales will average right around 2,500. It's because their belief isn't there yet for the higher level sales. The digital products that we have, the services that we provide, we should be promoting more $6,500 and $3,500 sales than anything else. The $2,000 sales should be your least most popular in most cases. So this is how we go backwards a little bit. Look at what your monthly income goal is. So 20,000. Let's say your income goal is $20,000 a month, and let's say your average sale is 2,500, then you basically need 8 sales to get to that level. But if your average sale is $3,500 or $4,000, obviously fewer sales at that time. So if you have a $6,500 sale or a $9,995 sale, then obviously that number is going to change, right?
Right. Yeah. No, absolutely. And people can grow into this obviously based on their marketing budget.
Correct. So this is what I tell you, even my clients right now, even though postcard marketing is great, you got to diversify. I always tell people start off with Craigslist. That is the most economical way to go. And with my Craigslist ads, I tell them put an 800 number in there, same type of path or funnel, different type of person, of course, but you should still be converting. Once you start converting consistently with Craigslist, then you add postcards to your technique. You don't stop Craigslist. You continuously do Craigslist, but you add postcards to your
right. Yeah. I mean, that's what we do too, because obviously, Craigslist is cheap, relatively,
Right.
And so it's something that everybody can do, but start making some money and then go into something like postcards.
Right. Absolutely.
Cool. Yeah, this was good. Michael, did you have any?
Well, just a question, Peter, not to put you on the spot, but do you have a script?
Yes.
A sample script for that 800 link message you do?
I do.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I got 2 options. There's a longer version, a shorter version, and then there's a instructions on how to record it on your 800 number that I got in the bottom of that. What I could do is I could send it to you, and you could upload it to the bottom of this training. I've got no problem with that.
Great. Appreciate that.
Yeah, cool. Oh, how about as far as and if you don't want to share it, don't share it. That's fine. But how about as far as like where you get your postcards?
Oh yeah, that's not a problem. So I use Got Print. The reason why I use them is they have a mailing service as well. There's a specific way that you got to do it though. So when you use their mailing house, you got to number one, select that you're going to be using a mailing house for it, and then when they approve the order, you got to send them an email, pretty detailed email with all the files. So when you use a mailing house, good question. I'm glad you brought it up because I only talked about manual mailings. When you use a mailing house, you want to do your mailings on Fridays because you can't ask them to do mailings all the time, Mondays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Mondays. So they do drop all 1,000 of my postcards on Fridays. The good thing about that is it still does arrive in homes Mondays through Thursdays for me because the list that I have usually has, it goes from the East Coast to the West Coast. So it's all mailed from the same location, but it does go throughout the whole country. So it does end up dropping into homes Mondays through Thursdays as well. So it works out for me that way. And then they also charge you $120 every time they drop. The benefit of that is using a mailing house is they do get a better rate on the first class stamp. It comes out 29.5 cents when they mail it for you, as opposed to you buying the stamp at 35 cents. So the $120 balances out when you're sending out 1,000 postcards to costing about the same as doing it manually. Another thing, when I use the mailing house, it's a little bit different of a postcard. I do have a little font that says hi on the top left-hand corner. No name there, but at least there's something extra that catches their attention as opposed to you writing the name manually. So Got Print is the mailing house that I use. There are other services out there that could mail it for you, but Got Print is who I use.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think I might have frozen up there for a second, but I think Vistaprint does something similar.
I haven't used them, so I don't know.
Yeah, they do.
Cool. Good info. I can't tell if we have a better turnout today than we did last week, but does anybody have any questions?
Definitely better.
Oh, good. That's good. It couldn't be worse. That's good. Good to see. Does anybody who's on here have any questions? Maybe you've done postcards in the past, or just this is getting you excited to start a different type of marketing?
Hey, I got a question. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hey, Benny.
Oh, how you guys doing? Just real quick, when you first call them, you just pretty much it's all about them. You send them to the website. They go check out the website. You already schedule an appointment for your follow-up. So when you do call them the second time, are you giving them an ultimatum, or is the objective is to close them? Or if you feel reluctancy, how much do you actually follow up, or do you just stop manually following up and just let the emails do its job?
Good question. Peter?
So what I tell people when they first start off is use your mentor, whoever you signed up with, for a three-way call. You may not need to tell that person when you originally speak with them, when you're scheduling that follow-up call, that you're going to have a third person on the call. But you should be using your mentor for that third three-way call, just so you can hear what they say. And typically after 2 or 3 of those calls, you won't need them anymore. And then you'll hear what your mentor or the person that's been doing this for a while is saying to them, and you pretty much mimic what they say. At the end of the day, your first call should be about them, finding out about them. You're doing an interview, right? Just like you're trained on doing. And then the second call should be somebody, there should be a three-way call on there with your mentor or the person that signed you up. That way you can hear what they say. So at the end of the day, I ask them, what kind of questions do you have? How can we help you? What are you looking to do? Are you serious about this? Okay, which level do you want to come in at? And then let them make a decision. I think one of the best things I think I've heard Steve talk on that, Steve's really nonchalant saying, hey, how can we help? We're here to help. What do you want? You want us to help you or not? And then you move on. You got to have that sort of, swag and say, hey, we're here to help. If you want it, we're here. If not, no problem. There's somebody else that wants my help,
Hey guys, Ed in Texas. I just wanted to comment. Peter, appreciate the information and you be willing to share that. And Steve, Mike, thanks for lining that up. Good stuff. Picked up some good tips that I'd actually forgotten about many years. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks for the feedback, Ed.
You bet.
Yeah, this was a good one. I think we'll put this on our training site on the postcard page. It's nice to talk about something a little different.
Yeah. Cool.
And it's nice to not do all the talking. I'm sure that goes for the listeners as well. Cool. Well, does anybody else have anything? Otherwise, we'll wrap up.
Good stuff, guys. Thank you.
Cool. Well, hey, Peter, thank you very much for
Thanks, Peter.
No problem. Thank you guys for everything you guys do.
doing this. And hope everybody has a great week.
All right. Take care.
Take care.